Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our weekly WHTT episode. Today, we are going to talk about innovation in the hospitality sector, a 360 100-degree innovation in every way, and emphasizing in the post-COVID new normality. Before introducing our amazing guest, I would like to remember all who we are. Women in hospitality and travel tech, we have the mission of supporting female leadership by inspiring, retaining, and promoting women through education, mentorship, and career development. And we want to participate in the development of the only possible future that we see, a future with where inclusion, diversity, and equality are equality of genders, races, and generations is the only way to get to this. So I will stay focusing our speakers right now. As you see, we have Victoria Fabio. Victoria is joining us for 30 minutes because she has a thing before, but we will do it with this values 30 minutes of her time. So thank you, Victoria.
Thank
She has a
you.
long career. She has a long career in hospitality industry, passing through interstate hotels and resorts, Kipton, Soho House. She has founded her own consulting in 2019, supporting unique, young, and fresh hospitality brands in the US and abroad the US. Exclusive clients such as Seidel Group, the Out New York City, Amsterdam Hospitality, and Rise. Victoria currently serves as Vice President People and Culture at Boqueria Restaurants based in New York. I said it okay, Victoria?
Perfect.
So good morning for you. We'll
Morning.
jump into Yoram Biton. Yoram is in the Berlin, and he practically saw Leonardo hotels born. He is there from since 2006 and started as cluster manager, and then in Germany and Switzerland. To date, when he holds the position of managing director of Europe, and he's responsible for the hotel portfolio in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, Spain, and Italy. I think we can talk a lot about innovation in much ways, Joran. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Aimée is in London, in UK. She is an experienced marketing professional. After going through key positions in UK companies such as Fine and Country, Ennismore, and Care Rooms, she's currently head of international marketing at the Smartech Retail Group and responsible for retail marketing strategies for Snapchat, Gillette, Facebook, among others. So we will see how it's going a little bit out of the hospitality too in terms of innovation and post-COVID. Thank you for being here, Aimée.
Thank you for having me.
And finally, our open book guest, Matt. He said it before, so that's what I'm saying. He's an open book. After almost 10 years of successful career in Hilton, where his last position was director of sales for Eastern Europe and Russia, Matt launched fully into the hotel tech industry within Mews systems. And in just 3 years, he reached up to the chief officer executive position where he is now. So I think this panel is going to be really interesting. I hope I invite you to feel free to talk. This is a discussion. This is an open table, and let's just bring some knowledge and positivism and innovation to our audience, please. So I will start with Victoria. Let's broke the ice. What is the innovation, Victoria? What is the innovation from your experience? And do we need always to innovate? Your micro is off.
We do.
Great.
We always need to be thinking with a lens focused on innovation, especially now. I think, globally, what the hospitality industry has just gone through, pretty much close to destruction. And now figuring out what this normal is going to look like. More than ever now, we need to think about other ways and other models that can help us sort of dig out of this pandemic hole that we've been put in. And in addition, here in the US, on top of COVID-19, there's incredible unrest in this country that's created sort of a second wave, if you will. We're talking a lot about, or we're hearing a lot about, I'm sure you're hearing a lot about, a second wave of COVID-19 expected, at least here in the US, sometime in the fall around flu season. Well, there already is a second wave that no one's talking about, and that's mental health, well-being, substance abuse, sort of a whole nother layer of issues that employees, colleagues, people are experiencing that have been going through this. Whoever thought they'd work in a virtual workspace every day? In hospitality, we long for that face-to-face, being able to catch up with someone after a meeting. Now everything's on a Zoom. It feels weird. You pick up on a weird cue, or someone didn't respond to an idea. You ideally grab them after a meeting and say, hey, I noticed maybe you didn't think that was a great idea. Let's talk through it. That's not the way things are now. So I think innovation is playing a big part just in terms of brainstorming, figuring out other ideas that are sort of models that we've never thought about, because that's going to be the key to survival.
Great. Yoram, how is Leonardo Hotels looking at innovation right now? What is innovation for Leonardo Hotels at this moment?
Innovation for us, it's a platform of communication. Innovation for us is, I would say, company culture all along the company, because our clients want to know more than ever, not only what are we selling, they want also to know how it looks like, what are we doing, which action we did. We faced some situations that we followed the journey of our clients, and that's a part of our innovation, that we are trying to learn what's the new trends. And the new trends is that if you have a great hygiene standards and you connect them right to your client, it will increase your conversion online. When people are looking now, when we opened our hotels like 2 weeks ago, we could see this trend of the client and the guest journey online. Yeah. Innovation is a trend. Innovation is being aware and awake, and react very quickly to trends in the market. Actually connecting with messaging automation. But I would say that for the start, for us, innovation, it's revenue. That's the bottom line. But we do not have to forget not everyone, we do not have to forget those who are searching hotels or flights offline. Not everybody still, we are living in a world when we are getting really further and forward with all digitalization and with all digital marketing and online sales, and we see it more and more. And I think that what the COVID-19 did, the COVID-19 shortened the time, and I think so that developments that were in a pipeline will take place much faster than they should take, because we all need to be online and in the latest trend, if it comes to marketing, if it comes to operation, if it comes to hygiene, to whatever sector it comes. And of course, last but not least, our employees. We are talking about, in my region, more than 2,500 employees. By the way, in this forum, I would say that we are proud that more than 55% of them are ladies. And we need to communicate the company culture, company philosophy, and to be open and have the right platform to let our employees be a part of the company culture and the company philosophy.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I think one of the things that we found going through this is that leading through culture is really the only way. And that the company culture pre-COVID it was so critical to keep that strength, keep that reminded and refreshed. What are the core values? How do we lead through this? Reminding people of what our core values are and staying true to that throughout all of this. And that has proven to be really effective in terms of all of the employees that want to come back to work.
Yeah, sure. I agree. People is always the mainstream of anything, even talking in innovation. So you said, Yoram, that we need to be aware. We need to be aware of innovation in also marketing trends. I think that Aimée can help us there to define, not only in the hospitality industry, but from other industries, innovation in terms of marketing trends. Aimée, how it's looking at?
Yeah, so I think, everything boils down to being creative, right? That's what innovation is. But a new idea on its own is creativity. It's only when you apply that you become an innovator. I think that every single one of us is an innovator on some level, whether that's, we're all presented with these tiny problems every single day that we have to solve. So whether that's, solving a problem at work or avoiding an accident, we're all innovators in our own right. It can be as menial as that. It's about how you go about that and how you encourage that innovation that's really important. Like Victoria was saying about how central the experience is. For Smartech in particular, we are all about the experience. You have to be able to experience innovation in order to understand it. Nobody wakes up and says, I'm going to go and try the world's first flying suit today, because you don't know about it, right? You have to experience it, understand it, believe it. It has to be marketed to you. So for us right now, having all 15 of our stores closed, it's quite a tricky situation. How do you get that innovation out there? And like Yoram was saying about accelerating the things that you've kind of got in the pipeline, we've now had to go digital. So we've just launched our e-commerce for the first time. And we're trying to bring that experience to life just the same. So you can now have a video call with one of our Smartech specialists who will talk you through the product in layman's terms. So it's not scary tech specs. It's just, let's sit and discuss this innovation. And that's really important.
Great. And last but not least, Matt, I know Mews system is known for being an innovating PMS. Am I right?
Yes, I'd like to say yes. I think we are trying to defy what the standards of the industry are, for sure.
And how are you living innovation in this situation? And what's going to be after this?
It's been part of our culture throughout. Agility and grit have been kind of our values that we live by. And especially now, suddenly when you're in a crisis, you need to get smarter. And we toned back the organization very rapidly, but we also looked at what does a hotel need right now? And they need social distancing. They need ways to social distance. And we're like, well, what does our product do? And what could we tweak so that it can really support that? And hoteliers want to be close to customers, but suddenly a virus doesn't allow that. And for years, it's been a struggle to convince them of some of the features that we had, which were actually great. And millennials picked up on those features, but the older generations, they don't like to check in online. They'd like to check in at a reception desk. And suddenly, everyone wants to check in online or check out, and they don't want to interact with people because of the risk that they're exposed to. And it's driven an incredible amount of innovation. If you look at Germany, the amount of the payment innovation that they've seen because of COVID, it's incredible, because that's been one of the most resistant countries to payment innovation. And suddenly the whole country's woken up and we need to move forward. So whilst it is scary, it is a perfect time to innovate right now.
Yeah, great. And what do you think that are our? I just let an open questions, because we have said it's not easy to innovate. Germany has not innovated in payment until now. The COVID, I think, that have pushed us to innovate more than any CEO, CFO, or economical crisis ever. What are the fears that the hospitality industry, hospitality companies have in front of an innovation time? What are their fears to innovate?
I guess the fear is always change.
Yeah.
I think change is one of those things that terrifies people. And it has traditionally, if you look at our environment PMSs, hotels are afraid to change because, opera does the job. So why would I change to something different? And we've found a lot of resistance. And then suddenly when there's a crisis, everyone finds themselves at home. And how do you then how do you connect from home into an on-premise solution? Well, you don't, because you didn't innovate. And it is scary when you make massive changes in your organization, but the impact it could have in the long run, like the 10x multiplier, like we're not looking for iterative innovation. You're looking for a 10x change where, when you look at, there's a heavy cost of labor. Well, maybe you can put in place something that will cut that by 30%. Well, that's innovation. And that has a massive impact on the organization, but it is scary and people don't like to change.
I think that the trend changed a bit from a free innovation to a must innovation. For example, I think so that in the hotel industry, everyone wants to try and to get a hand-free journey for the clients. When it starts with reservation and until the payment, as Matt said, in Germany, the payment method was here very conservative. We still had a lot of even cash payment. And we see that the trend is changing day by day. The question is, in innovation, always if you would like to be a leader or a follower. And a lot of companies, conservative companies, are waiting, are looking, and then when the A/B tasting is successful, then they will join the journey in innovation. And that's the main question. Now, I think so that in the COVID-19 situation, nobody want to take risk. Everybody want to promise a safe journey for the clients. So we are really trying to follow the instructions and the regulations of authorities, governments. So because here any mistake could be fatal. Nobody wants that in his hotel or restaurant, tomorrow in the news it will be that they found or somebody got infected by the COVID. So that will be a death for such a business. I can give an example. We are hosting in Germany, in Munich, the Bundesliga basketball tournament. They will finish the season within 3 weeks. All the rest of the games, including playoff, all the team, 10 teams, including delegation, including all the management and even the referees, are staying at our hotel, in one hotel, like quarantine hotel. And in one hand, we use the opportunity. It's great because we've proven to be a very safe hotel, but I'm scared to death that something will happen there, and that would make more damage than benefit. But then I decided here with my team to be the leader, to take the opportunity and not to wait and to see when all hotels are getting 30, 40, 50%, and then to open our hotel. Time will say if we did right or not, but in the digital world, and in all the innovation world, we need to be very, very careful today.
Yeah, we should look. Victoria? Yes?
Yeah, I think it translates the same way when we think about bringing employees back to work. I mean, it's the same exact sort of internal struggle. Some employees just absolutely are ready to come back to work. We've been sending out surveys all along during lockdown, checking in, like, if and when we open, would you want to come back to work? Some people have decided to leave the industry completely because, they have young children or they want to start a family and they just can't imagine ever going through this again. And also the people that are really hospitality lifers that want to do this forever, they're in it because they love the face-to-face. They want to be close to the guests. They want to be close to their colleagues. And the idea of that changing and what that will look like and feel like for employees and customers through my lens is the scariest thing of all. That first time we opened for dine-in and our guests come back, and, you know, most New Yorkers can't wait to get out and eat and drink and be social again. But there are people who will come into a restaurant and feel very uneasy that they're being served by someone with a mask and gloves, and that every time they have to leave their table, they need to put a mask on, and they might have their temperature checked. It all just feels so not hospitality and not authentic the way we know it. So it is, Leonardo, I totally get that challenge of when do we go? When do we start? We've had that discussion internally, and our CEO has been passionate that when dine-in reopens, he doesn't want to be first out of the gate. We want to see how things go, but there are so many factors that go into it, and so many people, guests, employees that need to be considered. It's so incredibly challenging.
Like, what's interesting, what we've seen in Czech Republic in the last 2 weeks, because we were at the forefront of reopening the whole society, is that hotels and restaurants in the city center, they suffer. But actually the hotels in the villages or in the suburbs, they actually do really well when people are trying to leave the city, which is strange because our strategy has always been around city center hotels. That's where technology does the most. Yeah. But actually customers are not staying with us because this is where like the hub of the virus spread is. And it's really disorienting how to respond to that.
Yeah.
Aimée, you that work with big brands, do you have any feedback of those brands about this fear of reopening and gathering people together? I know you are a lot in online marketing, but do you see that also, like in people comments in social media or the reactions to the campaigns?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've seen a huge increase in communication online and people just wanting to kind of absorb information that way, because it's the only way they can kind of escape right now, I guess, from these, the homes that they're living in. A lot of the companies we work with are technology companies, so they do have an insane online presence. Everybody's on Facebook, everyone's on Instagram, everyone's on Snapchat right now, and they're using it more than ever. I think it is interesting right now just to touch upon obviously what's happening in the protests right now and the Black Square campaign that's going on. That has had, I don't think it would have had the gravitas it would have had outside of COVID, because everybody is absorbing all of the information they can, on social media. I know that Snapchat reported a huge increase in followers, about 15% extra than in terms of users, on a daily basis compared to pre-COVID. I also know that in terms of kind of online sales, Selfridges have gone from about £200,000 to £1 million a day, which is unbelievable. Everybody's getting online. A lot of people will not have the money to spend right now. They're being a little bit more careful, especially those who are furloughed or expect to be furloughed or made redundant. But there are some people who are, they've got all this, they're just saving up the money right now. They're not going out, they're not being entertained, and they're just investing it into online and absorbing content and buying. I do think there will be a big surge when this is all over. It will happen gradually at first, and then I see a big peak in people wanting to get back into that kind of an experience again. Already, if you walk down the Thames in London, you'll see the Gordon Ramsay restaurant opened a couple of days ago, and people were having kind of socially distanced partying. You buy your burger for £9 and you sit on the Thames, and that's arguably kind of this new normal, people being outside, engaging with each other still, but safely and responsibly, we hope, as well.
Great. I will jump into Victoria because I know we're running out of time with her, and it's really interesting. We set corporate culture, company values, and employees. Is there any way to use innovation to reduce the impact that this is going to happen or to have in our employees. I want to focus in, you said, people counts. So can we innovate to try not to impact directly on employees' salaries, life, etc.? Are you doing something in that term? Open your mic, please.
Yes,
Yeah,
we are.
they are.
I'm
And
so sorry, I have
and
so
if you
much
want,
background noise here.
yeah, sorry, Victoria. And if you want to say to take the opportunity to say goodbye, and we will send you the recording. And thank you again for your time.
That's amazing. Thanks, you guys have been great. I'm so sorry I have to pull off early, but have a great rest of the meeting. Thank
Thanks,
you.
bye.
Bye,
But she
guys.
didn't. Yeah.
Oh, did you want me to touch on? I have more time.
To answer.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So
I said before, after answering, you can
we
just.
are getting very creative and innovative in how we bring people back. I mean, we have over 500 employees that were laid off, and we're not even open for dine-in in any of the cities that we have stores in. So really doing these surveys along the way to sort of gauge who's ready to come back, who wants to come back, the timing of that. This new model, when we were open pre-COVID, delivery and takeout was not a big thing for us. We did it, but people come to Boqueria for an experience inside the restaurant. So the whole idea of doing delivery and takeout in the way that we're doing it now is completely new. The restaurants were not set up for that. And add on top of that, the health and safety protocols that we've had to put in place. So really retraining and spending a lot of time with employees before they come back, making sure that they're prepared and understand. So this is what the new world is going to look like at work. When you're coming back to work, you're coming to the same place, but it's completely different, and really over communicating what that looks like, talking them through. So when you get close, text us. We're going to meet you outside. We're going to take your temperature. If your temperature is above 100.4, you're going to go home. Like, there's a whole process. We've engaged with a third-party medical company who can sort of take over when there might be an issue, so that our employees feel like we've invested in people that actually know what they're talking about, that can talk them through potential symptoms or an issue or a reason why they weren't able to come into work. And I think those are all things we never thought we would ever have to do. But employees really, more than anything, have latched onto the communication throughout. When the company was in hibernation, continuing to have company Zooms every other week with our CEO, explaining to them what was happening, talking to them about getting a PPP loan, talking to them about the reality of what the end of this year will look like, and really being transparent and talking to them about what the new model, the new normal is going to be, so that when they come back, it's not complete shock. And they're excited, they're anxious, but I think the key is transparency. People need to understand what it's going to feel like. And we've really gone out of our way to make sure that, for the most part, that there aren't any surprises. And beyond that, we've instituted sort of a well-being check program. So every new employee that comes back during their first week, we make sure that we connect with them and have like a well-being check-in. So you're back, you're in a restaurant, you never thought you'd be wearing all this PPE and getting your temperature checked. You're traveling in on the subway and going home to your family. There are protests all over the city. How are you feeling? What can we do for you? Is there anything that we can do to make it easier? Are you rethinking this decision? Do you need to take some time off? Those have really been well received. Employees have appreciated the opportunity to have one-on-one time just to talk through the weirdness of what hospitality feels like today, especially in New York right now.
Now you can go. Now we leave you. We let you.
You got enough from me now.
Now I have my notes. You can go.
All right, you guys are amazing. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much.
See ya.
Thanks.
Bye.
Have a nice day. Yeah, so we can continue on the employee part, employee teams, innovating with employees and teams after this situation.
Yeah.
Yoram and Aimée, please. Yeah.
May I just on the kind of back of that, it's interesting to me, like the hospitality industry and the retail industry as a whole, they do have a reputation for kind of overworking and undervaluing staff on the whole. It's not the case with everybody, of course. And I think the restaurant industry is notorious for kind of long hours and staff retention being a real issue. Looking after employees is obviously crucial always. Otherwise, you're negatively impacting somebody's life. They'll be off sick with burnout, so they then can't work, and you're wasting money training them when they then want to leave subsequently. So it's really important that you're getting the most out of your employees, but they're also getting what they need from you. There seems to be a kind of increasing awareness of employee satisfaction and well-being, particularly mental well-being, which is incredibly important. And that's just another sign of how important innovation is, and that listening side of it. You can't innovate without a soundboard. You need to hear from your people to understand what to do next.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Like I spent probably double the amount of time listening to employees today than I did pre-COVID. On the one side, because of terminations that are happening, there's this insecurity that there is, but also like, how do we now get the best out of people and make sure that, when you're at home, do you have all the tools that you need to perform well? And what's the new normal? So with us going back into the office in 2-3 weeks, we find actually that most people will come in 2 days a week and 3 days a week they work from home because they actually work better from home. And we haven't seen a loss of productivity for people that worked from home and that found this balance between home and office. And I'm actually pretty happy to keep, like, if you'd asked me like 3 months ago, would I support work from home? I was a Marissa Mayer on this. I was like, no, I want people in the office. We create a culture. People need to be around each other, and cross-pollination of knowledge is critical. And like, this has been a huge lesson for me that actually it can work. You just have to have the right guidelines in place and give people the responsibility.
That's really interesting. I feel like Norway was always ahead of the curve with that, and everyone's kind of seeing how that would all go down, reduced hours and kind of maximum efficiency. And I think we've put that to the test, and it's working.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yoram, how are you handled with your how was over there? 500 employees?
2,500.
Oh, yeah.
And I can say that our employees are very valuable for us. With 2,500 employees, we need to combine technology and, of course, to have the right platform to communicate with everyone, to not be boring for everyone, because we know in our life there are some platforms where we are there, we belong there, but we just watch once a month if there is anything that is concerning me. But we try to communicate with our employees, and I think that with our HR, the director, I was like myself talking at least every second day about different issues, because the COVID suddenly put us in a different situation. Just 3-4 months ago, we were looking all over for employees. The market and the tourism was booming, and we were looking for employees all over the countries for all positions and for all the departments. Suddenly, 90 or 95% of our employees are at home. I agree with Matt that we learned in management level and in administrative level to work online, to have some Zoom meetings, to have some Skype for Business, or meeting Microsoft 365. I must be honest, I didn't use it before. Maybe once a month. I also personally learned to work with the tools, but my heart is with our employees who are giving service directly to the guest. My heart is also with our waiters, with our cleaners, with our receptionists, with those who cannot do anything beside waiting for better time and giving the service they like so much, and what they did in the last years. Not to forget that we have employees 20 years old, but also 60 years old. So we have from all generation employees, and we need to find the right way of communication to all employees. And we, for example, established standard that me, myself, at least every third week, I go with the latest news, but each of our head of departments, if it's human resources, sales and marketing, revenue management, everyone would go once a week or every second week and deliver the messages and the news to our employees. And that's my dream, to see our employees back at home, back in their hotels, because I think so that here we cannot give everyone the possibility to work from home office and online. So in our industry, I think 80% of our employees should wait for better time, and which is slowly coming in Germany. I can see that we are seeing like every second week since we opened the reservation are doubling itself. We started like in our chain with about 800-900 reservations a day for the entire chain. We are having now almost 2,000 reservations for the chain. Of course, we open more hotels. But what I see that we acknowledge more than everything is that the pandemic of COVID-19 taught us that we are all living in a global world, but it's so small. Of course, we first want to take care about our closer circle, about our employees and families and the people surrounding us. But we know that we depend on the clients, and we know that we depend
customers,
on the travelers in a national level and in international level as well. So we cannot ignore what's going on in USA, and we cannot ignore what's going on in China. We are in the tourism, we are one global world, and we need really to try to do our best in order to be informed and supply the best services to each and every segment and nationality.
Yeah, we all need to do our bit now to help rebuild the trust in hospitality, don't we?
Yeah, that's basic. I have some audience questions for Yoram and Matt. So Yoram, I give you the word. I think you said about property level work, operation team working from home or not working because they can't do it. So there's a question how you manage the part of home office with operation team, and also they ask you about retention of qualified staff after this crisis, because as Victoria said before, there are a lot of people that is moving to other industry. So how do we retain qualified staff and prevent them to move to other industry when they are at home and they cannot work?
First, as I mentioned before, in the operational level, it's not a lot to do besides communicating very open. We are really communicating from myself to the directors in our company, very, very open the situation. Secondly, I think everybody understands what the situation is because we are all living in the same world. To retain the employees, it's our first highest priority target. In the tourism industry, we know that we are actually last in the line to recover. So a lot of industries started recovering or recovered or will recover soon, while our forecast and prognosis are to recover within the next months, but only partly. We see also that our forecast for 2021 and even 22 are containing a part of the recovery. So we are actually, today, I spoke with our human resources about e-learning. We try to come with some benefits as much and as long as the industry is back. We created a fund helping our employees which are getting into trouble and cannot let's say facing difficulties with their existence, financial existence, of course. So we created kind of fund by our owners and presidents to help, and we helped some of them. It's not easy, but as I mentioned, we are open, we are telling everything, open cards, and we are trying to maintain it by some trainings and by communication on the operational level.
Great, thank you. We will jump to the question for Matt that he promised to answer like open book. Matt, how do you redefine sustainable management and sustainable business model as the result of this crisis?
Yeah, so we were heavily, like as most tech companies in hospitality, we were heavily impacted. And we noticed it from the moment that Donald Trump had his speech on the 13th of March and he closed down the borders, everyone else followed. And that was the day that we saw a massive drop off of revenue effectively. We do a lot of transactional revenue, which then disappears. And then that weekend, we pulled in the whole leadership and we basically redefined what we as a company stand for. Whereas we were a fast growth startup, we've been heavily funded to grow. And the money that was invested in us was going towards growth. So you hire heavy sales teams, marketing teams, and everything goes toward growth. But when suddenly nobody wants to speak to you because hotels are closing down, we basically changed that whole strategy, and we're on a trajectory to become a profitable company in the next few months. To really ride out a storm, because we're obviously you have a virus that's out there, but there is the question of recession, and our industry unfortunately does also get hit by recession because travel is one of those things that get cut very quickly from a spending pattern. So we anticipate that this may take up to 2 years or 3 years to recover. And we just got ready for that. And it's a mindset change. But once you've changed your mindset towards, hey, we need new metrics that drive success for us in the long term, that actually really helps. So within a weekend, we retooled the budget and we had kind of a goal to go after. We made decisions, really, really difficult decisions, because we let people go that we loved and that were doing amazingly well. But you can't. And once you've made those decisions, you need to turn a corner and actually then start moving towards the future. And like Yoram said, like hotels are opening up. We see an occupancy across the portfolio of hotels is currently 13%, it's depressing. But last week it was 11.5%. So there's definitely an upward trend. I'm hoping it's going to accelerate a little bit because I think it's a bit slow at the moment. But it's nice to see that we're on the other side of it and we're working towards building a long-term company.
Great, thank you, Matt. I think you did it really well. I have a question for all of you about teams also and employees, and then we will move forward to tips for the hoteliers and hospitality companies that are connected to start innovation, how to innovate, or what are the first steps to innovate that they should do right now. But the last question about employees and team for all of you, how are companies handling possible infected employees or guests? Yoram said something about that before. And what are protocols that you are taking and putting in place to track contact points in the guests, in the staff members? Is people going to be tested? What happens if there are some positive? How we do that?
So with Mews, when we went back to the office, we very quickly set up ground rules. So every other desk has to be vacant. Everyone had to wear face masks the first day, but after that, the next first day, the government changed the rules and we don't have to wear them anymore. We removed all of the food from the kitchen so that you don't get these places where people congregate. Simple things like the men's urinal, you cover up, and it's just, you walk through the space and you look at a meeting room, and like with social distancing, can this meeting room take 6 people or 3 people? And then you end up doing a lot of conference calls with people that are actually in the office because you can't find a meeting room to fit 20 people in anymore because of the social distancing. So just having all of the procedures in place, we have a guy with a temperature gun running around the office to measure everyone's temperature. And obviously, and luckily no one's had the virus in our Prague office yet, But if it does happen and there's been exposure, we will close the office down as fast as we can and re-quarantine.
We are.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I?
Mm.
We are having also the protocol in place, of course, in a different country, according to the authorities. Of course, our receptionist will wear a mask, and of course, we'll have the social distance. We just went all along the hotel. We rather be here conservative, not take any risk, even if there is a little bit in some countries the closures. So we are just staying with our conservative plan. I can share it afterwards, but it's covering all from washing the laundry to the disinfection material, social distancing, meetings, and so on and so on. So we really took care that all along the hotel, and of course, as Matt said, kitchen and food and beverage, all along the department. It's covering everything, of course, for we need to take care about the guests, but not less employees, not less important, our employees. But we really do our utmost to prevent any of such cases.
Yeah, and I think in retail, it boils down to numbers and obviously keeping staff safe. But I know that Selfridges in Oxford Street normally get about 50,000 people a day coming into that store, which is a huge number of people to try and govern. And they have about, I don't even know, probably about 20 entrances for the ground floor. It's a huge space to try and keep people safe in. I think we're hoping to open on the 15th of June this month, again, which would be amazing. But I know that's going to be heavily reduced numbers to start with. I think 4,000 to 5,000 for the first few weeks and see how they go from there. Obviously, our experience kind of boils down to people being able to touch the products and interact with the products, which comes with a whole host of different problems. How do you make sure that those are, correctly sanitized? We have some amazing innovative masks. There's a company called ARPA who creates some amazing kind of started out as anti-pollution masks and now have kind of been used for infection control. So, for us, it doubles up as a product that we sell and also something that our staff can wear to keep safe. And I think also Selfridges is very clearly marked out into different mats. And I think that's something that will really help is that, keeping people isolated with physical barriers, in the store. So whether that's, I know in Germany, the cafes, they have the noodles they put on their heads to signal 2 meters away from each other. I think for us, it will be kind of, different circles and spaces that you can stand in. All about the social distancing, really.
Yeah, definitely. We will keep the word of Yoram that we can share Leonardo Hotel's practices for the COVID-19 in our channel, so everybody have it available for them. And also Matt, Aimée, and Victoria can take a read and maybe we find interesting things. So we will be wrapping up. I will give you the golden minute to each of you. And I will kindly ask you to give some input as said before, how a small business or big business in the hospitality sector can start innovation. Which one you think, or which ones you think are the first steps to innovate to any kind of and size of company. So we'll start by ladies first. Aimée, and I think Yoram is the time to introduce your ladies, a special ladies room that you have in Leonardo. So think about it in your minute, in your golden minute. Aimée, go ahead, please.
Sure. So I think for me, diversity is probably the most important part of innovation in my books. So ask yourself, is my workforce diverse? Is my culture open to hearing all ideas? Are you encouraging creativity? To an extent, you've got to let people find their way. You've got to let them explore and see what works without obviously impacting the management. I don't think you can say you've achieved your maximum innovative capacity if you have a workforce who are pale, male and stale, or another workforce that's of the same or similar demographic. You need a mix of, like you were saying earlier, genders, generations, sexualities, races, that mixing pot of cultures to come up with and implement the most kind of exciting and forward-thinking ideas, which I think in turn will then attract a much wider pool of customer. most hospitality companies want to attract a wide demographic, and to do that, you have to be of a wide demographic. As a mixed race woman, I more often than not find myself the only woman or the only person of color or both in a room. And to me, that shows how far we have to come towards achieving diversity. It shouldn't be something we have to achieve, but it is. And last little bit for me is as well. So I'm co-founder of Become, which aims to help young Black and ethnic minority women get the skills they need to get into the workplace. Technology and hospitality are my passions, but we've got a broad mix of women from all over different industries to help support that and mentor that. And you've got to be brave. You've got to be, think outside the box and just push those boundaries.
Thank you. Any of you, Matt or Yoram?
Yeah, so I think so great ideas are the start, but shutting down bad ideas fast is also an important factor to it. And I think know your budget and ask the question saying, well, how much is this going to bring me in terms of cost saving or in terms of revenue? Because there are so many bad ideas out there, and you don't want to engage too long with a bad idea. So if you cannot find a financial argument for you to pursue that idea, shut it down, even though it may be a great idea, and move on to the next idea. And that's how we work at Mews. We have so much input, but if I can't find a financial argument for cost savings or revenue increase right now, that is not a priority. It goes on the list of great ideas for the future, because you've got to stay incredibly focused to make it out of this. So I it seems anti-creative and anti-innovative to look at your budget, but it is absolutely core today to spend money because you don't have much money to spend, so you want to spend it on the right things.
Yeah, definitely. Yoram, please.
Yeah, I agree definitely with Matt. You need to look at your budget. We prepare once a year a budget, and I can say that I always have in the back of my mind what will happen if crisis or whatever will happen. So I say, okay, instead of 80% occupancy, 75% occupancy, in a crisis year will drop to 60, it will be as a disaster. Will drop to 58% occupancy, it will be a disaster. Suddenly, we find ourselves that would be a great success if we finish this year with 50%, which is even not the case. So yes, we are looking at our budget. We are awakening the business parallelly to the guest and to the demand. We do not come and say, okay, 20%, 30% employees or sources. We just see how the business wake up, and then we do that accordingly. We were trying always to be ahead and trying to be innovative, even in operation, not only in marketing and sales and digital marketing. Of course, like everyone, we are working on our website. We are following our customer journeys, and we are giving some sources in Google Ad. So we are really doing a lot in marketing and in digital marketing. But we are trying also to think operationally how to be different. And I think so that if I need to summarize what is innovation, so innovation for me is a company where you can find a harmony and working atmosphere, a harmony of working atmosphere, and the employees, from the waiter to the receptionist, and to me, everyone have a freedom to think. I know a lot of companies that if you think different, so nobody look at it well. So in our company, everybody can come, and we even encourage it. Everybody have the freedom to think and to come with great ideas. Our management implemented a few years ago in the Royal segment. We have different segments. We have the Royal segment, which is our four-star superior. The lady friendly room, I promised to say some words about it. So we thought that a part of our segment, business people segment, business guests, are ladies who are coming after meetings, after fairs, after events, sometimes late at night to the hotel. And we thought that they deserve special attention as we are trying to be very gentle. And we created in every hotel some lady-friendly rooms with a special cosmetic mirror, with nice magazines, soft colors, fan in the morning for the ladies because they have a bit longer hair than myself, parking with the extra light when they come and park at night, and so on and so on. So we feel that we get very good feedback for those rooms. On the other hand, we just have our Nix hotel. Nix hotel is our lifestyle hotel. Nix is the god of the night. And we went through this segment as kind of a lifestyle hotel with parties, DJ, art, and so on. And there we actually came with the idea to replace our minibar with Jeeves. It's kind of robot, which with one call, you can call it to your room and it will come and offer you a drink. It's only for cold drinks, and it's a gimmick. It's for revenue, but we want to send a signal that we are innovative and we are not waiting for ideas. And ideas can come, as I say, from the waiter to the managing director. Everybody has the freedom to think.
Great. I think Yoram have the key of the golden minute. Congratulations. So we are running out of time. It's a shame because we are having so much fun. We already, in the name of the WHTT community, want to thank you again for your time. I will sum up with some thoughts of all of you. I keep Victoria recommendation about transparency and third parties agreements out of the industry. Innovation can be on there. Aimée, I think that the important part you said is be brave, think out of the box, and creativity is in all of us. So do not be fear about it. Matt said, prior to fear, look at the long-term results and improve your budget to the maximum. So we can see there's a financing guy over there. And as Yoram said, innovation is to be aware and awake, and you have to decide if you want to be a leader or a follower. So thank you very much to all. Have a nice rest of the days and hope to see you again in these weekly WHTT episodes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.